KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson, celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus Hyundai, home of the Kona electric vehicle, an electric heart with an SUV soul. Test drive yours today at Cars Plus. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
The Department of Administration sees a rush of applicants for $300 direct assistance, and a couple in Hawaii appear in court charged of labor trafficking a mother and daughter from Guam. Plus, a popular Manila restaurant has hopes of reopening after being reduced to rubble. These stories and more right here, right now on Primetime. Hafa and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Primetime. I'm Tomas Maglotnya. Glad you could join us. Before we begin our newscast, we should let you know we are experiencing some technical difficulties, but that's not going to stop us from delivering you the news. There's a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get started. In our top story, there was an immediate rush of applications for the $300 Programan Salapi, which went live online today. Administration Director Edward Byrne says in just the first 4 hours, nearly 3,000 people signed up. Here's more.
Director Byrne said by noon some 2,400 applications were received online, 150 people emailed their applications, and another 220 submitted paper forms.
The application itself is only one sheet of paper, 2 sides on one sheet of paper, and we kept it simple in order that we could move the processes through as quickly as possible.
Applications will be accepted only until April 15, but Byrne expects everyone who wants to apply will be able to meet the deadline.
We do understand that not everybody has the equipment or the ability to do that, and we've also reached out to the mayor's offices to have them help us get out these forms to people that might be homebound or otherwise unable to access them.
The income qualifications for the reinstated Programan Salapi were expanded so that more people will be eligible. For example, a household of 5 can make up to $95,000 a year. Byrne reassures that there will be funding to cover the program and there will only be one payment per household.
We don't know how many people are going to apply, but our best guess is somewhere between 18 and 22 million.
Complete details are available on the Department of Administration website, doa.guam.gov. For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Laconta.
And there were some concerns raised during a public hearing over the proposed funding for the local war claims program. First of all, the bill by Senator Amanda Shelton, Tina Barnes, and Jim Moylan would allow local companies to pay their businesses privilege taxes directly into the fund. But Revenue Tax Director Daphne Shimizu raised several issues, including a lack of clarity. The bill also requires the Department of Administration to set aside $15 million a year for the next 5 years beginning in fiscal year 2023. DOA Director Edward Byrne advised caution on that as well. A war claims adjudication committee has already been established. It's scheduled to start accepting claims on April 2nd. And jury selection is underway for Rudy Canata. He's one of the accused in the murder of the former UMATIC Mayor Daniel Sanchez in April of last year. As we reported last month, Joyner Sked, the other accused in the murder, was found guilty and charged with murder as a first-degree felony, aggravated assault as a second-degree felony, and special allegation of the use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. Jury selection is expected to finish by Thursday or Friday of this week. And a jury has found 29-year-old Derek James Simmons guilty of rape. Both victims were under the age of 14 at the time of the incidences. During trial last week, the victims described how Simmons would reach under the blanket and their underwear to touch them. Chief Prosecutor Basil O'Malley commended the victims for having the strength to testify in a very emotionally charged trial. He adds they waited 2 years for their day in court and justice persevered. Simmons will be sentenced at a later time before Judge Arthur Barcinas. And beaten and forced to do drugs, a shocking story out of Hawaii where a couple is charged with felony labor trafficking. The victims, apparently from Guam. Here's more. 29-year-old Pomeroy and 41-year-old Kevin Robert appeared in the district court in Hawaii charged with 2 counts of labor trafficking. According to court documents in August of last year, the Honolulu couple used body passes to fly a 15-year-old girl and her mother from Guam to Hawaii. Immediately after they arrived, Pomeroy allegedly took away their passports. The teenager attended high school, while her mother got a job as a dishwasher. For 6 months, court documents tell a story of extreme physical abuse. The 15-year-old girl was forced to clean the Robert apartment, while her mother was forced to turn over her entire paycheck to Pomeroy to pay for rent, cigarettes, betel nut, bingo, and ice, which Pomeroy smoked daily. The teenage victim was not allowed to leave the apartment except to go to school. Just last month, however, the 15-year-old went to visit a friend nearby. When Pomeroy found her, she allegedly dragged the girl by her hair back to the apartment. Inside, she's accused of pulling out an ice pipe and demanding the teenager smoke it. When she said no, Kevin allegedly held her down while Pomeroy beat her. The physical abuse continued a week later, during which Pomeroy allegedly beat the girl with a metal curtain rod while Kevin held her arms. After the beating, Kevin allegedly locked the child in a bedroom so that she couldn't go to school. They gave her bottled water, chips, and a white bucket to use as a toilet. When the 15-year-old returned to school the following day, she reported the incident to a school counselor. As for the victim's mother, she too has been assaulted by the couple and is scared to speak up when they beat her daughter. Pomeroy and Kevin are being held on $250,000 bail. During the hearing, they requested a Chuukese interpreter. A preliminary hearing is now scheduled for March 17th. And we'll be back right after this break.
Half a day. Gas prices continue to rise and we are here to help. We have revised Programa Salapi to provide a $300 direct cash assistance payment to most households. We've expanded income eligibility so more families will benefit.
We've heard your struggles and we hope this relief will help during these difficult times. The Department of Administration will begin accepting applications on Tuesday, March 15th, 2022. For more information, visit doa.guam.gov.
This ad is paid for by the Office of the Governor using government funds.
Don't need a work break, keep the smile on your face. The moments you can't replace, and I'll be around. Whoa. You can count on me. You can count on me for life.
Wherever life takes you, we're always here for you. Calvo's Insurance. Count on us for life.
When the pandemic first started and we had no idea that it was going to affect our business till March of 2020. Orders from public health, roadblocks, restriction. It was a very hard time for me. What really has saved my business is the SBA and the PPP program. I felt keeping the employees was so important because I had faith that my government would help me later, the federal government. We applied and we received 2 PPP loans equaling up to $425,000. That money saved me because it's been 2 years. I think 80 or 90% of the restaurants have closed. The only reason I'm here is because of my devoted clientele and the federal government.
Thank you for helping save jobs with federal funds.
Thank you to the federal government for all the federal ARP money.
Thank you for the federal funds.
This ad was paid for with official funds from the office of Congressman Michael F.Q. San Nicolas.
Welcome back. You're watching KUAM, and in our next story, as part of a plea agreement, Bastiano Joysa pled guilty in the district court today to SNAP fraud. According to the plea agreement, he was a manager at the Garap Fish Mart in Dededo when he, along with another Hilaria Willie, devised a scheme to acquire more than $150,000 in SNAP benefits in exchange for extending credit to SNAP recipients on their credit accounts. Joysa and Willie are both scheduled to be sentenced in June. And over the weekend, a police officer trainee with the Guam Police Department found himself on the other side of the law. According to a GPD release, 25-year-old Jacob Christopher Cambao Perez was arrested after patrol officers responded to a disturbance along Route 4 in Zonia. Upon officers interviewing alleged victims, witnesses, and suspect, Perez was arrested for impersonating a public officer, standing parked on a travel portion, and harassment. Perez was booked and released. An administrative investigation is ongoing, and the case has been forwarded to the Attorney General's office. And it's a popular local restaurant that recently reduced to rubble, and it has plans to reopen. Tyler Matanani has our next report.
It's like a baby. You're like, you know, you've taken care, you've been here every day, you be here every day, you take care of it, you touch it, you use it. All of a sudden now you see those things laying in ruins.
A family legacy went up in smoke, but according to the owner of Oriental Kitchen, Bei Zhang, they're cooking up something for the future.
Last month, Zhang got the call. A fire destroyed his family's Mangilau restaurant.
I was kind of just like collapsed when I got off the car because I didn't know what's going on.
40 years of business gone in an instant, but memories and friendship lasting a lifetime.
It's just heartwarming to see that actually some of our customers even call me back to say, how are you doing? You sure you don't need a hug? Or those, you know, just show love. And that's something that really touched us.
Those relationships with residents and the business community gives them hope for the future.
A lot of ideas just kind of flashing by, but of course we can't really make a decision unless it's really viable, and you know, we need time to kind of really carefully decide what we want to do. Yeah, but definitely we do want to come back.
According to the Guam Fire Department, the cause of the fire was a result of a gas leak. For KUAM News, I'm Tyler Matanani.
The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration extends the comment period for the Marianas Trench National Marine Sanctuary. NMI Governor Ralph Torres is a staunch critic. As the community delves into the issue, it's clear it's just the tip of the iceberg.
We need to stand up and fight against this. We cannot allow anybody or any entity, let alone us, to give our rights and then later ask for permission for our own waters?
NMI Governor Ralph Torres last month sounding the alarm, opposed to a proposal that would increase the monument to 57.5% of the NMI's exclusive economic zone. This month, NOAA reopened the public comment period until April 25 after its 5-year review of the nomination for the Mariana Trench National Marine Sanctuary.
I share that same sentiment. I do not support restricting access to our Indigenous people, Indigenous fishermen and fisherwomen. I don't support that. What I do support is a seat at the table. And right now, the reality is that from 0 to 3 miles out, that is CNMI managed waters. From 3 to 200 miles out, that is federally managed waters, and we don't have a seat at the table.
Representative Sheila Babata, who also chairs the organization Friends of the Mariana Trench Monument, who nominated the area, says nothing is set in stone.
This nomination does not address any fishing regulation and does not restrict any Indigenous fishing or Indigenous access to our waters. That is something that I want to make very, very clear.
She says the specifics of what goes on in the 3 to 200 miles of water off the NMI would be determined through a rigorous public education campaign that NOAA is mandated to do if the nomination moves forward. Her goal is for residents and local agencies to co-manage the area on equal terms.
Increasing protected areas in our ocean is something that we fully support, and it is something that our community supports. Studies have shown that a huge majority of our people support protecting more of our ocean.
Babata stresses that the monument itself is already in place, written into proclamation by President Bush in 2009. The sanctuary is a separate issue. It was nominated in 2016 and accepted in 2017. And over on the island of Rota, the Army completes its testing of the Terminal High Altitude Defense System and its remote capabilities. Operation Talon Lightning Wrapped up on Rota, marking the first exercise remotely operating the THAAD launcher in the Northern Mariana Islands. The THAAD has operated on Guam since 2013. The recently temporary exercise on Rota was done with new software for remote communication. It did not involve bringing interceptor missiles to Rota. The main exercise was the ability for the command center on Guam to communicate with troops on the ground on Rota. The exercises come as tensions rise in the Indo-Pacific region as the Russian invasion of Ukraine continues its brutal march forward. And the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Hydrogeologic, in collaboration with local agencies, removed over 2,000 hazardous munitions and explosives throughout the Hope Recovery Center land in Marpi on Saipan. The Army Corps of Engineers observed some anomalies in plain sight in 2017, which triggered the Ordnance Removal Project. The site is home to substance abuse, addiction, and rehabilitation offices and temporary homes. The interim removal action was marked with a ceremony Monday evening. This was the first ever time critical removal action, or TCRA, in the Northern Mariana Islands. 76,000 pounds also of debris were also moved to recycling. The larger ordnance removal project will be completed in 2035. And if you're a resident with Medicare, you're urged to be on the lookout for potential COVID-19 scams involving the Health Insurance Agency. If you've received any calls, text messages, or emails offering free COVID-19 tests in exchange for your Medicare number, think twice. These scammers are selling fake and unauthorized at-home COVID tests for your personal or medical information. If you suspect fraud or a potential COVID-19 scam, you are urged to call 1-800-633-4227. Make sure to buy FDA-approved test kits from authorized providers only, such as pharmacies and clinics. Each household can also order up to 8 home kits to be shipped directly to their house at no extra cost. Go to covidtest.gov to order your home kits now. And another batch of tax refunds totaling almost $7 million will be paid out this week, according to a release from the governor's office. A total of 2,243 error-free returns filed on or before February 3rd of this year, including prior years, will be paid by check or via direct deposit. For more information, contact the DRT call center at 635-1840, 1841, 7614. Or use the Contact Us section at myguamtax.com. And with sports, here's Dave Delgado. All right, thank you so much, Dave. And for this week's Giving Every Tuesday feature, we take a look at a recent donation drive held by fine folks of the Guam Association of Realtors. Joan Uggan-Charfris has more.
Recently, the Guam Association of Realtors held a pair of food and supply drives as part of their community outreach. Chairperson for the Community Service Committee, Madeline Campos.
We coordinated with Vero, the nonprofit victim advocates, reaching out, and then also obviously St. Dominic's, the senior care center in Barragata Heights. And we reached out to them. I've actually been involved with Vero through another outlet. They are in need of more items recently because, you know, a lot more of their clients are coming through their nonprofit. So they're more in need of toiletries and diapers and also some non-perishable food items.
With St. Dominic's, before the pandemic hit, the association would usually engage in certain activities with the Manamku throughout the year.
You know, we were thinking, what are some other ways for us to be able to do that now that we're not able to be physically there and sit down with them. So we thought this would be a great way to, you know, to circle back with St. Dominic's.
Campus was extremely overwhelmed by the drive turnout and support from the island residents.
We did reach out, obviously, to our association. So there were several realtors who did come by and make donations as well. You know, if you haven't seen organizations out there, we stand outside, inside, in front of Payless, Costulas, and will kindly ask shoppers, hand them a list and ask them to purchase a couple of items while they're shopping, whatever they can, you know, be able to lend a helping hand at that moment.
Shortly after the drives concluded, the items were presented to both Vero and St. Dominic's. Both groups were very grateful.
We want to be able to give back to the community, you know, with all of the hard work that we put forth out there. So some of the other things that we'll do throughout the year is, you know, we have our typical beach cleanup. We'll do Salvation Army. Actually, at the end of this month, we're going to be at the shelter in Agano.
Campos says the association's Community Service Committee will be making up for lost time as a result of the pandemic and look forward to reaching out to more of the community. For KUAM News, with this week's Giving Every Tuesday, I'm Joan Uggan-Charfris.
All right, we wrap up the show with your birthday shout-outs. Here's Jason Salas.
Trisha Rosalind, happy birthday to you. May the Lord continue to bless you with many more years to come. Your shout out says, we love you, from Jaron, Noah, Caden, Isaiah, Odin, KJ, and Daddy. John Uggan, happy birthday number 51, and we hope you have a great one. And we love you, says your entire family, especially in no small way, your sister Joan, who loves you very, very much. Happy birthday, John. And Axel Lucas, happy birthday, Axel. Love mommy, daddy, brother, grandmas, and grandpas. Happy birthday to each and every one of you. Trisha, John, Axel, and everyone who had a birthday today.
All right, that's it for Prime Time. We thank you for your patience and good night. Up next is Health, Home, and Lifestyle with Tyler Matanani.